Hello everyone, this is Cheetahman91. This is the third and final part of my Criterion collection uploads, and I guess we'll just get started, starting with 1971's Straw Dogs, directed by the interesting Sam Peckinpah. Yep, this film is actually filmed and takes place in England, and yeah, it's basically it's hard to describe. I guess it's sort of another like psychological thriller, like a lot of these other ones. Like probably the most well known part of this film is like the I guess sort of infamous rape scene, and I guess the near the end of the climax of the film, which is basically just Home Alone for adults. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting film. It sort of just challenges, I guess, masculinity. I guess that's sort of like one of the main themes of this movie, and I don't know, it's pretty good. I mean, Hoffman gives a pretty good performance in my opinion, and so do the other people in this movie. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Not Peckinpah's best, but a quality thriller. That was very, very controversial at its release. And next up, from 1973, we have our first of several Brian De Palma films that we'll be seeing on this video. This is Sisters. This is a pretty interesting film. This is basically about this woman who used to be like part of like a used to be like half a Siamese, used to be like part of like a Siamese twin or whatever, or I don't know, how would you say it, like she used to have a sister that was like joined to her like a Siamese twin, but she was like separated, and she ends up like having making love with this dude, and her sister ends up killing her a day later, and then just it's sort of a mystery film. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting one. Like I said, it's just I guess the best way to describe this one is that it's Brian De Palma. Like a lot of De Palma's earlier films are very indebted to Alfred Hitchcock, which this film definitely is. I mean, yeah, I don't want to say which film this is compared to because that basically just spoils it, but it's worth checking out. Obviously it's a De Palma film, so there's like a lot of like stylish cinematography and editing in this film. Like the most famous part is whenever the Margot Kidder's and her psychiatrist or character and like the psychiatrist are trying to remove the dead body. Like on half the screen you see that, and then the other half of the screen you see like some journalist who saw the guy getting killed, and she's trying to convince the cops to go to the apartment. And you see both of those happening at the same time. Split screen photography. It's really unique, and yeah, I'll definitely check this film out. It's not De Palma's best, but it's a good early film in his career. And I guess next up we have yep, here we go, another De Palma film. This is 1980, skipping pretty wide quite a ways too. This is 1980's Dressed to Kill. Yeah, this is basically about a woman who yeah, she goes to make love with a guy. I guess kind of like sisters. I guess flipped around this time. And then whenever she's getting ready to leave the apartment, she gets murdered by this crazy woman, and the rest of the film is basically her son and a prostitute trying to figure out like who the murderer is. This is a pretty interesting film. Once again, very Hitchcock inspired. Not going to say which movie it's inspired by because it sort of spoils it. But yeah, another one of those cases of style over substance. Once again, has some great split screen shots. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Not as is it better than Sisters? I don't know. This one's a lot more definitely very R rated. Hell, this is technically unrated. Like it's got a lot of nudity in it. I think the original one did too, but this one just goes hardcore. I mean, like that opening scene where the woman's like the main woman or whatever, she's like taking a shower and she's isn't wearing anything, like dreaming about getting raped by that dude. Yeah, just kind of weird, kind of kinky movie. Yeah, very. I think this is another one like fairly controversial at release, but it's a very well made thriller. It's just not for the children. Let's put it that way. Not for the kiddies. And next up we have yep, this is our last De Palma film. Yep, three in a row, and one of my favorites in my opinion. This is 1981's Blowout, which is a this one on the other hand is not Hitchcock inspired. This is more inspired by the 70s film The Conversation, which is about the guy, the surveillance guy who ends up like over taping, like recording like a murder. And he ends up getting all paranoid about it. Well, this one, John Travolta's character, he does sound effects for movies, and he's out like doing sound effects, and he like hears a blowout, and he also gets pictures of it, and then it turns out it may be this whole political conspiracy. Yeah, this is a great film. Great performances. I guess like a lot of like cinema buffs love this film, and there's a reason why. Like it's really well made. Like the plot's interesting. I mean, it's basically the conversation, only it's not boring, like the conversation is. But yeah, just a great film. Once again, great stylish cinematography, great use of split screen. Like I said, some great performances. Like I said, out of all of De Palma's thrillers, in my opinion, this is the one to seek out. In fact, I would go so far as to say this is his second best film behind Scarface. So yeah, definitely look out, check out Blowout if you ever get the chance. And next up, we have a movie that I actually haven't seen yet, so I have no comment on it. This is Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yeah, I need to see this one at some point. Just haven't gotten around to it. I know it's well regarded, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't have anything to say about it. So I guess we'll just move on to something else. Now, here's a movie I do have things to say about because I've actually seen it. Hold on a minute. This is 1984's Repo Man. Oh, yeah, that one came out in 82, Ridgemont High, I think. Yeah, directed by Alex Cox, and I think this one has Emilio Estevez in a movie that doesn't in an 80s movie that doesn't involve high school. So yeah, or he's not like a brat. It's not a Brat Pack movie. Yeah, this is a weird. This is such a weird movie. Like I thought it was gonna be sci-fi, but it's more just about Estevez's character, being a repo man, learning the ropes and stuff. And it also has a lot of like punk rock subculture in it as well. But yeah, I think it's about like this suitcase that aliens want or something. I don't know. This is such a weird movie. Like I was a little underwhelmed by it, to be honest with you. Like it definitely feels like an independent production. Well, it's not. I mean, Universal like distributed it, but like the film only cost like $1 million to make. But I don't know. Like as far as 80s sci-fi, in my opinion, this is pretty low down the list. But maybe I just need to give it a second chance, or maybe it's just too out there for me. I don't know. Like, I'd much rather stick with, I guess I'll stick with the safer stuff like Terminator or Star Wars or Back to the Future. But yeah, not a bad film, but I don't know. Probably my least favorite Criterion Blu-ray. Just, yeah, it's so weird, let's be honest. And moving on, we have some more, got more science fiction. This is 1984, released in, yeah, 1984, appropriately enough. Yeah, classic British film. This is actually a pretty famous because it's actually one of the first film to use desaturated colors in it. I think cinematographer Roger Deakins came up with some process where he like did something with the negative. I don't know what he did, but yeah, it gives it a desaturated look, which obviously works very well for this movie, and obviously would be used most famously in Private Ryan about 15 years later. And a lot of other war films use this as well. But yeah, I just think it works really well for this film. Obviously, it's 1984. You guys probably know what this movie's all about. It's pretty unfortunate though, just how much closer we're inching to be like this society, if that makes any sense. What with like censoring books and whatnot. I mean, it's honestly troublesome. But as for this movie, yeah, it's pretty good. I haven't read the book because I'm not really much of a reader. I'll just be honest with you, but I really enjoy this adaptation. Heard it's not like the most accurate adaptation, but hey, I enjoyed it for what it is. So what do I know? And next up, we have yet another movie that I have not seen yet. Oh, hopefully this audio sounds okay. This is 1985's The Breakfast Club, another high school film. Yeah, I don't know much about this one. Know it's pretty well regarded, but yeah, I haven't seen it, so I have no comment on it. So I guess we'll just move on to our next one. Oh boy, here's a bizarre one. This is 1980. Here we have 1985's Brazil by Terry Gilliam, another dystopian film. First off, we'll start out with the positives. Okay, this film looks incredible. The production design is out of this world. But yeah, as far as the negatives, yeah, it takes a little too long, in my opinion, for the story to get going. Like a lot of the film just feels like a bunch of vignettes. It just feels like you have to like be familiar with like like dystopian literature, like 1984 and Brave New World. But I don't know, like I said, I need to give this film a chance. Like I can sort of see, like it sort of has a cult following nowadays, and I can see why. I don't know. I just thought it was underwhelming, to be honest. Like it looks like amazing, but yeah, that honestly does carry the movie for the most part. But I don't know. I just wish the plot was a little more consistent. And got started a little earlier, not like over an hour into the freaking movie. Yeah, that's Brazil. Oh yeah, this one comes with like two different versions of the movie, in case you were interested. Next up, we have probably the most well-known movie Criterion film that I have. This is 1991 Silence of the Lambs. I mean, what do I need to say about this? I mean, it's Silence of the Lambs. Like, I don't love this film like a lot of people do, but it's a great movie. But yeah, just, I mean, come on now. I mean, y'all have seen this, and if not, you know all about it, so I'm just going to move on to something else. It's a great movie. It's a classic. Won a bunch of Oscars. Mostly well deserved. Anyways, I guess we'll move on now to 1997's The Game. This is a David Fincher production, yeah. Fincher doesn't have too many Criterion Blu-rays, but he has this one. Yeah, this is sort of a thriller starring Michael Douglas, where basically he gets a birthday present, and it's like this really elaborate game. I don't know. You got to watch this one. It's like this. It's like a really good thriller, like very underrated Fincher film in my opinion. One of his better films. Like being honest, I prefer this one over stuff like Zodiac or Seven. You know, that's my hot take for this video. Yeah, just a great thriller. Definitely recommended. And I guess jumping on ahead to more modern times, we have 2019's The Irishman by the great Martin Scorsese. Yeah, another great crime epic. You know, of course, Scorsese, he always does good crime epics. I mean, come on now. I mean, like Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed. I mean, I haven't seen Gangs of New York, but I've heard it's good. It probably is good. It probably is good. You know what else is good? This movie. But I do have a couple complaints. Probably my biggest complaint, or really one complaint. My biggest complaint with this movie, it's just a little too long in my opinion. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really, not as, like, I think the end of it's not as interesting once, you know, we get to the part where Frank's, like, old and, like, basically living in, like, a retirement home. I mean, I don't know, I feel like I could have done without that. I was more interested in, like, his life in the past when he was dealing with, like, the Teamsters and the mob. I don't know. But yeah, obviously great performances by everyone. The de-aging also looks pretty decent as well. Yeah, I got some scuffs on the case, unfortunately, but it's these damn cardboard cases, man. I mean, you just look at them and they get freaking scratches, dude. It's BS, but yeah, just a great movie. Yeah, y'all should see it. I mean, most of y'all probably have Netflix, so there's really no excuse for you not to see this. Just set some time aside, because this is a long one. It's over 3 hours. And I guess last but not least, for Criterion uploads, we have 2019's Parasite. Obviously another pretty well-known film. You know, very, very highly regarded. Won a bunch of, like, 9 million friggin' awards. As far as this film, it's kind of hard to describe, but black comedy's the one word I've seen people describe it. It's just like a mix of so many genres, though. Like heist film, horror, thriller. It's such a bizarre mix, but you know what? It works. But I will say this. I am not in love with this film as a lot of people are. Like, a lot of people legitimately think this is one of the best movies of all time. I don't think it is. As far as like Bong film goes, films by Bong go, no, films that Bong Joon-ho made. I'll get it right eventually. You know, I honestly prefer Snowpiercer, like the sci-fi film he made from like 2014, 2015. But Parasite's great too. Plus, one thing I like about this film, like it has themes that are easy to understand, like visual, you know, like as a notable visual theme, like in the film, like visual metaphor. I don't know, I can appreciate that whenever stuff like it's that's easy to understand. But this is a really unique film. I mean, if you haven't seen this one, you gotta see it. I mean, come on, it's Parasite. Like, even if you don't like love it like everyone else does, it's still very easy to appreciate. And anyways, that honestly does it for my Criterion uploads. I do have one more, but I'm saving that one for another upload. But yeah, thanks to everyone who watched, and yeah, I hope y'all have a great day.